Also, Star Citizen jumped to 500 million. What say you? Okay, yeah, let's touch on that real quick. I think that's a good topic. This is their website. Okay, you can buy all this. The game still isn't out, by the way. Just so you know about the game. Maybe that's where they have the running total on this page. No, not really. Funding status, funds raised. Look at this. Okay. So it's buried under development on the Robert Space Industries website. But either way, they show it, which you got to give them some credit for that. Um, Dude, what? On the 8th, they raised 1.7 million in that one day. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. So, for those of you unaware, Star Citizen has been a thing for years and years and years. People have been talking about it forever. And it was originally supposed to be like the what No Man's Sky like pitched itself to be. That's what they wanted this to be. So they said it was going to be like a procedurally generated universe, never ending. You could buy ships, you could play as a pirate, you could go and do like live all sorts of different styles of life where you could be a trader, you could go and just be a marine, you could be a mercenary. All of these different play styles were supposedly just as valid as one another. And so they pitched this whole thing. People liked it. And you see, initially back in 2012, December 23rd, 2012, 10 years ago, they initially pitched this and they asked for 2.5 million. And they said, if we hit 2.5 million, we'll even add an additional ship, the Anvil Gladiator. Wow. And then they hit another $2 million goal, which is regular community updates and then all of this stuff. And then as time went by, you see that like as they raised the goals, they just kept hitting them time and time and time and time and time again. It's like a little insane. They just never stopped raising money. And then as they raised more money, wow, they hit 25 million. Everybody does a press story on it. More people hear about it. It gets more press, so more people see it. More people put money into it. And like, I don't know anybody who's put money into this other than like the occasional YouTuber who's like, I want to try the game for a YouTube video, so I'll write it off as a business expense to pitch in $40 to get a copy of the work in progress. But what I do know is like that guy Gus. You remember Gus? He was like Inside Gaming Daily. He was on that, and the No, that's what it was called, the No Gaming News Show. He's also like an original guy from Rooster Teeth. But he, like one day casually in a video, mentioned that he had already spent like $800 in the game. And it hasn't, like at that time, it was like 2015. The game was nowhere near release. You see, after $65 million, they just stopped offering like incentives to raise more money. They're like, I think we're probably maxed out. I don't even know what we could handle. And you see, like after this, they stopped updating this page with the date that they hit that amount. So they hit 63 million in 2014, and then after that they hit 65 million, and they just stopped updating it. They just didn't even put the date on for when they hit it. So this whole thing is a little insane. And as you can see, you can go on the page, you could spend $1,100 to buy a ship that you can use in the game that doesn't technically exist yet. I think right now most of these ships you can actually like fly and use, but the game isn't done. Like the game is still beta. Its performance is really crappy. There's a bunch of YouTubers, like I said, where they've done like tests and they've tried the game and it runs at like 20 FPS, but it's like a work in progress, I guess, technically. So I guess you can sort of forgive it, but it's a little insane because you can spend $1,100 to pledge and get like all this in-game stuff, and the game is 10 years in development with no end in sight. That's ridiculous. And they keep raising more money. They're now at $500 million. Now, somebody, so Python asks, money laundering scheme. Initially, it seems like a joke. Honestly, at this point, it's not that outrageous of a suggestion, because who the hell is throwing that much money at these people. You know, you don't raise 500 million just out of nowhere. That's just a comment I thought I had. No, I don't have it up. But like for here, or no, it was here. It was on this page. So like they raised $1.7 million in a single day. That's a lot of ships. Right? Like that's not just somebody went on there and maybe they shared it on a Reddit page that's from somebody that had never seen it before. That's a lot of people. I just have to wonder how that possibly works. If we go weeks, you see this week they raised 3.4, almost $3.5 million. On a weekly basis, they're raising well over $1 million. A couple weeks, they raised like 600,000. That's insane. Like, how many gamers are out there that just have $1,000 to throw at a spaceship? It makes me wonder, like, is this just a bunch of whales? Is there some oil magnate in Saudi Arabia who's spent like $300 million on this? Like, where is this money coming from? It's very strange to me. I would love to see the roles for all of this. But like, look at this. So $500 million raised out of 4 million people joined. Alexa, what's 506 million divided by 4,115,000?
506 million divided by 4,115,000 is approximately 122.9648.
122.9. So the average person has spent over 120 bucks on a game that hasn't released yet. That's the average. More than likely, this is a very disproportional group of people where there's a few whales who have spent tens of thousands of dollars. That would be my assumption. Sorry, Tom, did I set yours off? I might have. Oopsie. It's like that South Park episode that they made where they just had like a bunch of references to like the Amazon assistant, to Siri, to the Google one, like all of those, and they set a bunch of those personal assistants off in people's houses while they were watching the episode. Honestly, it was kind of funny. It was clever. But like, I see this month in May they raised over $20 million. And I don't know, like that's probably they released some update where you could play it. I just think there's some suckers who are either wasting their whole life savings, but or there's some sort of money laundering, something or other going on, because I don't know where this money possibly comes from, and who's throwing this money at them. Because the average gamer has no idea what this game is even about, what it is supposedly going to be in the future, and certainly are not going to want to jump on it. At $1,200, a ship that around 1,470 people bought that on that day. Yeah, exactly. And who are these people? Where are they? I don't know if it is like that guy Gus. He has expendable income. I don't think he's got a lot going on outside of the gaming world. So like he spent, I think at this point, he recently mentioned, somebody asked him like on an AMA, and he said he has spent like well over several $1,000s on Star Citizen. Like, I don't know what it even is. It's like some sort of weird gambling attitude people have towards this, where they think that, oh, well, one day I'll get my money out of it. And who knows? I don't know enough about it. Maybe they've promised stuff where like you can sell your ships to other players after the game releases. So it's kind of like an NFT thing where you're investing in the digital ship that you're going to get. I don't know. But like this is that level of suspicion in my mind. And surely somebody's looking at this. Like surely the Fed is looking at this like, wait, where the hell did you get $20 million in a month from? And you don't have like sales. You have pledges from people to get a game that isn't done and doesn't have a timeline given on when it will be done. That's insane. So I don't know. The whole Star Citizen thing is really strange to me. It makes me extremely uncomfortable. And actually, fun story, way back in the day, like 2015, 16, somewhere in there, I made a little video on Star Citizen. It did like 200 views. That was a good video for me back then. That was a very successful video. But I threw that video together and I received my first ever death threat. Or no, maybe it was No Man's Sky. It was around the same time as No Man's Sky was coming out. But I remember making a video and I received death threats over this, like my take on this, which was just, I don't know, guys, it seems kind of like a scam and possibly like some sort of Ponzi scheme where they just take money in, they repay like other investors who have tossed money in, and then they pass it all forward. There's something weird going on, and I just have to wonder what, because this type of thing just doesn't happen. It doesn't make sense. Eventually it dries up. And maybe it's that they have a bunch of people that have spent, like us, thousands of dollars for a game that isn't out yet. And now they feel like they're in too deep. So they just keep throwing more money at the project to try and get it across the finish line. I don't know. But in the sheer amount of time that they've been working on this, like they pitched this, and in the time that they initially started raising money for this game, No Man's Sky released to horrible reviews and had a full recovery and rebound, is now considered like one of the greatest comeback stories in all of gaming. Like Bethesda developed all of Fallout 4, all of Fallout 76, and they're almost done with Starfield. Rockstar developed all of Red Dead Redemption 2, grew GTA 6 to the monstrosity it is today, is a good chunk of the way through development on Grand Theft Auto 6. Like, it's ridiculous how long this has taken. But they still get money, you know? They still make a ton of money. Julian, one of my oldest friends that I've known since middle school, has been backing Star Citizen for as long as I've known him, and he legit has fully supported the project for a decade. There's got to be some people like that. Like, the people that are into this type of game are willing to just go all in and pour money into it, even if it doesn't really make sense and it kind of seems like a scam. I guess they just have they have some diehard fans like that, and I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. It seems bizarre and strange, but it is what it is. What I will say is you should not be giving them any money, like, at all. You should be steering clear, because this thing is very suspicious. Very suspicious.